Coming up next, we have the Warriors. Warriors, come out to play. Oh my god. I love the Warriors. This is one of my favorite films of all time. A street gang known as the Warriors being chased by all these other gangs in New York City. The tumble ACs, the hi-hats, the boppers. Trying to see if I can remember them. The tumble ACs, the riffs, the hi-hats, the boppers. Yeah, just all these. The tumble ACs. I might have said that already. Anyway, but yeah, big fan of Warriors. Taking place over the course of a single night. And they're out on the run from all these different gangs. It's just brilliantly done. Walter Hill's masterwork right here. Don't watch the director's cut of this movie, because the director's cut has all these unnecessary comic book sequences, and even though they look nice, they kind of slow the film down a little bit. The theatrical cut doesn't have this issue. And unfortunately, it's only been released on Blu-ray. The theatrical cut has been just stuck on DVD. Although I did hear that Arrow Video is going to put it out, but if they just put up a director's cut and not the theatrical cut, I'm going to be very annoyed. Wayne's World, extreme close-up, whoa! It's like people only do things because we get paid, and that's just really sad. It certainly does suck. Yeah, I love Wayne's World. Wayne's World is one of the few SNL films that actually worked. The other being Blues Brothers. No, Animal House is not one of them. Only Blues Brothers and Wayne's World actually worked as far as goes SNL movies are concerned. Well, yeah, I mean, Tommy Boy was good in parts, but yeah, Wayne's World, highly quotable, highly funny. This is just a really great comedy right here. Worth checking out. Next, we have two Oliver Stone dramas. The first being W, with Josh Brolin as President George W. Bush. Honestly, the only thing I remember about this movie was Richard Dreyfuss is Vice President Dick Cheney. That's like the only thing I remember about that movie. Wall Street. Yes, this is one of the best right here. Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Michael Douglas's Oscar-winning performance as Gordon Gekko, a film that shows the rise of power and the side effects of it. It also shows corruption and greed within Wall Street. You know, all the devious tactics that one does in order to obtain control in Wall Street, and it's almost like Wall Street's kind of a character in of itself, and it's just a really great. But no, seriously, definitely check out Wall Street. It's great. You know, New York is like a character in and of itself. So, no, check out Wall Street. Wall Street's great. Wallace and Gromit: Curse of a Were-Rabbit. Oh my God, Aardman. I used to have a VHS of all of her previous, films. You know, the shorts they did. I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, Wallace and Gromit. Oh my God, I loved her stuff. Way back when. But yeah, this is the movie. The movie came out, I think, around 2005 or 6. I don't remember exactly. 2006. Okay. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen this. I don't really remember it all that well. But yeah, man, I remember watching Wallace and Gromit. I remember watching them. I remember really enjoying their stuff. I think they've made more since then, if I recall. What's this? Oh, Walk the Line. Okay, this is the Johnny Cash film with Joaquin Phoenix and an Oscar-winning performance by Reese Witherspoon as June Carter. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen this, so... Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this, but I remember Joaquin Phoenix was pretty good in it. So, yeah. Kind of wonder... Oh, there goes that. I kind of wonder if we're going to make a movie about the $1 Million Quartet. I wonder if we're going to do that. Alright, next we have another one of my favorite films, War of the Worlds. Oh yes, War of the Worlds, one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. This is a film I could go on like forever talking about because this is a fantastic alien invasion movie based on the H.G. Wells novel, starring Anne Robinson and I'm blanking on Gene Barry. Yeah, this was produced by George Pal. This was produced by George Pal after he did When Worlds Collide, which we're gonna get to in a little bit. But this is easily one of the best alien invasion movies of all time. The effects were very pioneering, especially the sound effect of the alien blast ray, basically just blasting everything. Was very iconic. Not to mention the Orson Welles type narration is just, it was very unique in a sense. It was very different at the time, and the effects in this are fantastic. The sound effects are great. The whole, what it builds up to is absolutely brilliant, and this is just one of the best sci-fi films ever made. And as you can see, my copy was signed by Anne Robinson. I met her at a convention in 2019. It was called Hollywood Show, and that was where she had her own table along with her son. Yeah, her son tagged along, and she and I was talking with her son for like what seemed like forever. And actually talking to the son was really great because he actually shared some behind the scenes facts. So there's a scene where I'm trying to see if I can get the story right. There was a scene where one of the ships crash lands near his farmhouse where the main characters are, and this giant long neck is like snooping around the house trying to find the main characters. And at one point, the alien's arm, reaches out to Anne Robinson trying to scare her. Well, how they did that was actually very tricky because every time they did that, they couldn't scare her at all. So they tried this method where, see if I can get this right. They had like someone on a skateboard underneath the floorboards, and someone's arm was like inside like the hand of the alien creature, and they had to do it kind of like in secret. They were trying to like they were basically trying to get a scare out of her. That was the whole gist. But it was like a skateboard underneath the floorboards, and someone was like on top of a skateboard underneath the floorboards, and they were trying. His arm was like in the hand or something like that. It was a really cool effect, and how they were able to do that. So yeah, talking with her, meeting with her and her son, I was really, impressed by it. That's one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. And then we have the remake, directed by Steven Spielberg. So yeah, outside of the alien designs and the alien ships being identical to how they looked in the H.G. Wells novel, I can't tell you anything about this. I don't remember this at all. Although Anne Robinson's son asked me, well, you know the remake, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, she's in it. And I'm like, really? And he said, yeah, well, the whole movie's about them trying to get to Tom Cruise's parents' house, and Anne Robinson was the grandmother. Tom Cruise's mom in the film, And I'm like, wow, I did not know that. But other than that, I couldn't tell you anything about this movie because I don't remember. This is one of those Steven Spielberg movies, but I don't remember. So anyway, no, War of the Worlds fantastic. The remake, I don't remember. I do not remember outside of alien designs and stuff. Alright, next we have this wedding double feature. I put it under W because I genuinely didn't know where to put it. My Best Friend's Wedding, which was pretty good, with Julia Roberts and Rupert Everett. That was actually a really great rom-com. But Wedding Planner, not so much. Not really a fan of that one at all. The best date movie of the year. Please. Where Marshall, I talked about this in an update video, but this is a really great true story film about Marshall University after the death of their entire football team in a plane crash. They are trying to rebuild their team from scratch. And this is just a really great film, also with Anthony Mackie, so very inspiring film, for sure. Next, ooh, yes. Yes. West Side Story. This is a film that I'm very sentimental about. Not just because it's one of my favorite films of all time, but it's also one of my favorite musicals of all time. The film version won 10 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, Rita Moreno, Best Supporting Actor, George Chakiris, and Best Directing given to Jerome Robbins and Robert Wise. This is basically taking the Romeo and Juliet story and setting it in modern day. You have the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks. You have a former member of the Jets, Tony, falls in love with the sister of the leader of the Sharks, Maria. You have wonderful, memorable, iconic songs by Leonard Bernstein and Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim. Fantastic choreography by Jerome Robbins. An excellent story. This is just one of my favorite films of all time. One of my favorite musicals. And it's just a movie that I'm very sentimental about. So, yeah, this is just a brilliant, brilliant musical. And I actually met 3 of the stars from West Side Story. George Chakiris, Rita Moreno, and Russ Tamblyn. It was at the Hollywood Palms, actually the Hollywood Boulevard Theater in Woodridge, Illinois, and they had a Q&A of with all 3. And at one point, I asked Rita Moreno what was the best scene that they worked on, and she said the America scene. I like to be in America. Okay, buy me in America. Remember that number? She said that was the best number that they did for the film, and I was actually really glad that I met all 3 of them because when I did, because Rita Moreno, 1 year after I met her, she actually got a career boost. She won an honorary Oscar and her career started back up again. On top of the Oscar that she already won for West Side Story. Anyway, so she ended up starring in a couple recent films, including 80 for Brady, which was pretty decent, and Fast 10. And I'm not exactly sure what she's been doing lately. She actually did a photo shoot recently for some theater magazine. But yeah, it was really great that I was able to meet the stars from West Side Story. We Bought a Zoo, a pretty decent family drama with Matt Damon and Scarlett Johansson. Basically, based on a memoir by Benjamin Mee. Yeah, Benjamin Mee. Pretty decent. Speaking of George Powell, When Worlds Collide. This was the film that I was talking about that George Powell made before War of the Worlds. And this came out many years before films like Armageddon, Deep Impact, and 2012. But yeah, this is it's been a long time since I've seen this. It's been a long been a long time. Here's a film that does not have a Blu-ray, but it's really great. What About Bob? This is a really underrated comedy with Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. This is just great. When I met Richard Dreyfuss, he was talking about his experiences with this movie and how completely unpleasant it was to work on this. He could not stand Bill Murray whatsoever. He couldn't stand him. And he was like talking about his experiences, and this was at the Revivio Theater in the Illinois area, I believe. And one of the things that he mentioned was that there was one time where, if I remember this correctly, and I could be totally wrong, I could be off a little, but basically their agents had lunch with each other when they weren't really supposed to do that. So one of our agents went to lunch with another person, and it's so, for example, Dreyfuss's agent went to lunch with Bill Murray and vice versa, and yeah, they did not get along. And it's actually kind of a shame because that's actually a really underrated comedy. But like he talked about his bad experiences working on that. So yeah. Next we have one of my favorite thrillers, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. This is an excellent, amazing thriller with Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. This is fantastic. This is just two siblings living in each other. Davis is so scary. Oh my god. And Joan Crawford is like the helpless victim. She's paralyzed and she's trapped in this house. And this was really a lot to take in, but it's absolutely brilliant. And actually, the making of this film is actually really interesting. Check out the TV series Feud, Betty and Joan, because you realize that the whole rivalry between these two actors, between these two actresses, weren't really. I don't know what to say, but this film is. I mean, the whole rivalry thing was just fabrication. But anyway, this is a great, fantastic thriller. Very psychological. I don't want to give it much away because I'll spoil it, but let's just say it is brilliant. Oh yeah, Westworld. I have tried on several occasions to watch the TV show. I tried watching the show. I never got into it. I never got into the show. It was too slow, too boring. It went off on like 8 different side tangents, and it just wasn't really all that interesting. The movie, I just saw this recently for the first time, and the movie was way better. The movie was way better. It was way more simple. It was, engaging. It was kind of like, if you don't know Westworld, it's basically this company called Delos. They created a theme park complete with high-tech robots with a touch of AI, and something basically goes wrong. And yeah, this movie is it has Yul Brynner, Richard Benjamin, and James Brolin. This is really great. I actually feel bad for the people who the technicians, because they didn't design a theme park that would potentially hurt people. No, they tried to create an unforgettable experience. So they don't really know why things are going wrong. They have absolutely no idea. So I kind of felt bad for them in a way. And the only real major issue I have with the movie is that there are 3 worlds: Westworld, Medieval World, and Roman World. We don't see any of Roman World at all. Roman World is basically absent from like 90% of the movie, which is like, can you just spend like 5 minutes in Roman World, please? Whatever. They made a sequel called Future World, which I have yet to see. Next we have What Happens in Vegas. Now, I want to bring something up. So, around the mid 2000s to mid 2010s. Some films were released as digital copy editions, and basically what they were was you would insert the disc, the second disc, which was a digital copy disc, into your computer, and through this disc you can download it to your iPod or your iPhone or whatever. The problem was it was a condensed version of a movie that was released on DVD and Blu-ray. Yeah, I don't know why. I've done it only twice, and I've never really... I just don't buy movies from, like, iTunes at all. Like, I don't at all. I did it a few times, but I'm just not keen on that nowadays. Where the Wild Things Are. I'm a big fan of a book. The book was fantastic. The movie expanded on a lot of those ideas that were in the book, and it actually ended up working very, very well as a really good adaptation of the Morris Sendak book. Yeah, I haven't seen this in a very long time, but I remember really enjoying that. A great adaptation for sure. What Lies Beneath? I haven't seen this in a very long time. I don't even remember what it was about, so... yeah, I don't really remember that one at all. I do remember this, though. What Women Want. This is an excellent rom-com with Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt. Mel Gibson plays a ad executive who believes that women are sex objects until he gets electrocuted and is able to hear what women are actually thinking. And it's a really nice, surprising film, for sure. Really good, also with Marissa Tomei and Alan Alda. This is just a really nice, very interesting, film about, not judging a book by its cover, I actually saw the role reversal version called What Men Want, so I'll probably pick that up in the future. Here we go. When Harry Met Sally. This is one of a few textbook examples of how to make a romance film, or rom-com in general. Excellent casting and chemistry between Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. Beautifully and hilariously written by Nora Ephron. Superbly directed by Rob Reiner. Yeah, it's just a really great romance film and anyone can enjoy. And yeah, this is just this is a masterpiece. It's really funny, it's touching, it's heartwarming, it's clever, it's smart, and I'm a big fan of this. I know there are those people who don't like rom-coms or the romance genre in general, but I plead with you. There are some really excellent rom-coms and even romance films out there, and this is one of them. Here's an excellent film. Where Eagles Dare. This was written by Alistair MacLean, who wrote Ice Station Zebra and The Guns of Navarone. I'm a huge fan of Ice Station Zebra myself, but this is one of the earliest Clint Eastwood films I saw. Again, noticing a pattern here. Anyway, yeah, Richard Burton. Yeah, this is just a really great World War II actioner. One of my good friends, he almost went to the castle where they filmed this movie. And there's some, really great stuff in here. There's, one scene where it takes place on this, ski incline thing. And there's, a really big fight on top of the incline thing. The card lift, whatever you call it. But it was really great. And also the climax of this movie is really great, too. So, again, this is a really well-made World War II actioner. Man, I remember watching this as a kid. I remember watching that. My friend, he would show that to me quite a bit. But, yeah, that's a good one. The Wild Bunch. This, True Grit, Macabre Mrs. Miller, and I think there was one other one that changed how Westerns were made. this is one of Sam Peckinpah's finest films. This is, I mean, oh my god, like the cast is brilliant. William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, Evan O'Brien, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson. Yeah, this is just a really well done. It's kind of like The Magnificent Seven, only this is the Magnificent Four, or something like that. The direction is beautiful, the acting's great, and the the fact that it's set sort of in the last days of the Old West really makes it sort of like a closing chapter on the old style of westerns. And also, this film is most notable for its final shootout, which the final shootout in this film is considered one of the most iconic scenes in film history, and one that really made people take notice. But brilliant. Alright, up next we have Wild. I talked about this in an update video. Reese Witherspoon, the true story of Sybil Stryad, guess I got that name right this time, who abandons her husband and her mom and goes on a hiking trip. And I think Witherspoon goes down the same path that Stryad did in real life, I believe. But yeah, anyway, Laura Dern's in here as well. I don't need to explain why I have this, because I reviewed this film on my in my Christmas video, and I really need to upgrade this. But anyway, Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Vera Ellen, Rosemary Clooney, brilliant costumes by Edith Head, great direction by Michael Curtiz, iconic songs by Irving Berlin. Oh, I watch this film every year. And last week for this section, we have one of my favorite documentaries of all time. Won't You Be My Neighbor? Oh my god, one of my favorite documentaries. I am a huge fan of this movie. The documentary on Fred Rogers and the creation of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, who he was as a person, and as a soul on earth, someone who wanted to make the world a better place, and someone who used his show as a way of sending messages of love, acceptance, tolerance, and helping those watching understand real world concepts by sort of tying the world of what he called the world of make-believe with sort of what he's doing, in the house, and sort of by combining sort of the real life with some of the events that are happening in what he calls the world of make-believe. Just really excellent, really meaningful. I've watched this at least twice. It is one of my favorite documentaries of all time. And, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Fred Rogers. And actually, it's funny. I actually started working on a Fred Rogers documentary that unfortunately never got finished yet. But I plan on going back to that in the future. Won't You Be My Neighbor? Please check this out. This is an excellent documentary. Oh, Fred Rogers, we love you. Thank you for helping us feel loved and feel special. Alright, one more section, and then we're going to be done with this shelf.